that lie is not just holding you back personally anymore. And I'm here to tell you that that's not the only thing that's holding you back. In July of 2026, it's actually now becoming financially expensive for you. Not later, but right now. And there was a story going around not long ago about a well-known actress who asked a room full of 10 women how many of them were using AI. I'm sure some of you have heard this, right? And only 3 raised their hands. And only one of them raised it with any real confidence. You know, these were 10 successful, capable women in a room, and 7 of them were completely sitting out the biggest economic shift of our lifetime because nobody had ever told them clearly and kindly that this was actually for them too. And that's not a skills gap. That's more of a permission gap. And I'm done watching women wait for permission that was never anyone else's to give. You have permission to learn these AI tools, to learn the skills that will take you so far into the next couple of decades before you decide to finally retire. And I'm telling you, if you start to learn these skills now, you can probably retire a lot sooner than you think you can right now. Girl, if life handed you a plot twist, a divorce, a layoff, an empty nest, or you're just ready to reinvent your life and write the best chapter yet, you're in the right place. It's not a midlife crisis, it's a calling. Hey, I'm Lori Ann, Christian AI business coach, single mom of 2 miracle babies, and the woman who rebuilt her entire life from her mom's living room floor while homeschooling my kids, working full-time, and earning my MFA in creative writing. And I built a 6-figure business doing all of it by the grace of God. We're putting God first, family second, and AI third. And God, He is never late. Hey girl, and welcome back to the Midlife Comeback Club podcast. I am so glad that you are here because new episodes are still dropping every single Monday and Thursday. So be sure to follow and subscribe so you will never miss an episode and you will get the notification. Well, today's episode is one that I have been sitting on for a couple of weeks now, letting it simmer, thinking about it. I want to be real with you because girl, today I am stepping into something a little bit different that's really been on my heart. And as some of you know who have been following me now for a while, you know that this is my bigger mission for what I'm doing here. This is not going to be a here's a cute AI tip kind of episode. This is a really, we need to talk kind of episode because I have been watching the headlines. I have been reading all of the research out there, and I have been listening to some of the smartest women that are in the AI space right now. And there is a wealth gap that's forming right in front of our eyes. Not someday, not in a year, not in 2 years, but right now as we speak, this year in 2026. And it is splitting straight down gender lines. And here's the thing I think nobody is saying loud enough. The jobs that women hold, typically, the ones we have poured decades into as midlife women, are some of the most exposed to AI automation. And at the very same time, women are out there adopting AI at a noticeably lower rate than men are. So we are absolutely at the most risk and the least represented at the exact same moment, which is really scary. And I want you to sit with that for a second because that is not a coincidence. That is a window that is closing faster than I think people realize. And girl, I did not build my entire ministry here and my entire business and my mission around my faith-powered AI systems to sit back and watch women who are my age and midlife get left standing outside a door that is closing as we speak in real time. And I want to be the one to tell you if you have not been listening or you're not in the AI space or you don't know what's really going on behind the scenes. So today I want to talk about the urgency of the situation, the really holy urgency. I don't want to fill you with fear. And this is not about hustling harder, but the urgency that I feel really comes from a place of love, okay? Because I am on a mission and I need you on it with me. That is really the foundation of what I do here for all of you. And this is why I started becoming an AI business coach, because I saw this happening and it started happening so much faster, especially over this past year, that I'm so passionate about helping you as midlife women get on this bandwagon. But before we do, I want to take just a second to tell you about something. And if everything I just said might have made, your stomach drop a little bit, I'm going to say good. Not in a mean way, but that means you already know deep down that you can't afford to sit this one out, okay? The Midlife Comeback Club exists for exactly this moment. It's where midlife Christian women will stop watching this AI wave from the shore and actually learn to start building with it. That is what we're doing inside of my community. And the new program that I built, Called to Coach, Built to Break Free, is that program built in this AI era inside of the club. It's 6 phases. It has 22 modules and all kinds of bonuses and a full AI-powered business. The foundation for it is built within 90 days. And you don't just get me for the 90 days, though. It's an annual group coaching mentorship. So you get me as your AI business coach for the entire year. So I will tell you more about it at the end, but just hold on to that for a second and remember it, okay? So I want to get into this today. But here is the lie that I need to really name first, because I know it's loud in some of your heads right now. And especially as Christian women, you're like, AI is Satan. AI is taking over the world. I don't want to be a part of it. I think AI is not authentic. I think that it shouldn't be in the business place. It shouldn't be in the workforce. And all of those things are legitimate concerns that you have. I get it. But the reality is that it's here. And you can't keep pretending that it's not. and if you are, and you're thinking it's just going to somehow go away, like I still hear women saying this in conversations on a daily basis. They think it's not going to stick. I beg to differ because I don't think this is going away. I definitely think the genie is out of the bottle. And it's a matter of how now we choose to use our own taste and judgment to use it for good. And then if you do get to that place, you might be thinking, well, okay, it's here, but AI is not for somebody like me in midlife. I don't have time to be learning a whole nother skill set in midlife, or, I'm just too old to catch up on all this now. And the tech world already left me behind once. So why would this be any different? Some of you are still struggling with even using your iPhones or your Androids. And I get it. I hear you. A lot of us were the generation Gen X, baby boomers. We didn't have a computer even when we were going to school. I thought the word processor, I remember, was like a big luxury. And I didn't even have one of those in college or know how to use one. So that's where I'm coming from. And when the internet came out, I did not adopt even email. I was way behind on sending somebody an email by years. So I get it when you don't want to adopt the new technology. But the reality is, I'm sure all of you by now are using the internet, you are using a computer, you are using an iPhone or an Android, right? And I felt every single one of those thoughts myself about not wanting the world to be the way it is. But here's what I have realized watching this entire AI wealth gap widen in real time. That lie is not just holding you back personally anymore. And I'm here to tell you that's not the only thing that's holding you back. It's actually becoming, at this point in July of 2026, it's actually now becoming financially expensive for you. Not later, but right now. And there was a story going around not long ago about a well-known actress who asked a room full of 10 women how many of them were using AI. I'm sure some of you have heard this, right? And only 3 raised their hands. And only one of them raised it with any real confidence. These were 10 successful, capable women in a room, and 7 of them were completely sitting out the biggest economic shift of our lifetime because nobody had ever told them clearly and kindly that this was actually for them too. And that's not a skills gap. That's more of a permission gap. And I'm done watching women wait for permission that was never anyone else's to give. You have permission to learn these AI tools, to learn the skills that will take you so far into the next couple of decades before you decide to finally retire. And I'm telling you, if you start to learn these skills now, you can probably retire a lot sooner than you think you can right now. So I want to tell you a story from way back. This is I guess it was the late 90s, when I was working in the music business, as some of you know. I used to be a singer-songwriter, a musician. And back then, the whole industry really ran one way. It was the big label had to sign you at the time, like Sony or Mercury or Capitol Records, and they handed you a song that somebody else wrote and told you how to go out there and perform it. And that was just how it worked. Nobody questioned it. You just did what you were told. But right around that same time, in the late 90s, something started to really shift. And artists began pushing to write their own songs more and more instead of just recording the songs that they were handed. Because here was the thing that back then nobody was saying out loud yet was if you write that song, you actually own the publishing. And if you own the publishing, you get residuals and you get royalties forever, as long as those songs are playing. And you saw it happening with some of the biggest names coming up in that era. I remember Shania Twain was one. She was famously frustrated early on with having zero creative control over her music career. And she pushed really hard to write her own material because she was always a songwriter when she was growing up. But once she got her deal, they were pushing her to record the songs that other famous songwriters in Nashville had written. They didn't feel like her own, and she didn't want to record other people's songs because she didn't feel like it was coming from her heart. And that first album that she did not do as well as the later albums did, where she actually wrote her own material. And by the time she hit her biggest albums, she wasn't just the voice on that track anymore. She was actually the one who owned it. And girl, I was not some superstar like Shania Twain was. I was not her, right? I was not Taylor Swift, but I saw that same shift happening in real time. And I made a decision at that point. I decided I was going to start learning how to write my own songs. I was going to learn how to become the promoter, the booking agency. I was going to book my own shows because that way I could cut out the middleman. And I was going to learn how to make my own merchandise. I started making my own t-shirts. I started actually producing my own CDs. I designed the package. I designed the cover. I actually remember having a printer where I was actually printing the actual CDs with the graphics on top of it back then. Really kind of ancient way of doing it. But I remember my cost was less than what it would have cost me to go get them mass produced somewhere and then have a bunch of CDs and boxes sitting in my apartment that were never getting sold. So because I was not Taylor Swift or something like that, I wasn't selling millions of albums, but I was producing enough of my own in my apartment so that when I had my own regional or local gigs, that I had enough merchandise to sell. And I was able to keep my own percentage instead of handing it all over to a big label that would rather just tell me what to sing and I wouldn't enjoy what I was doing. And you're more like a puppet being told what you have to do. And it wasn't glamorous. It wasn't overnight, but it worked. And I made a real, actual living doing what I actually loved at the time and on my own terms because I was willing to see a shift that was happening in the market before most people around me did. They all thought I was crazy for going with an independent label because they thought, well, you're not going to get any kind of promotion. They won't do any marketing for you. And I knew that, but I also knew that I was willing to take on learning those skills. I knew how to market. I could figure it out. I could do my promotion. But by learning all of those skills, I ended up keeping a large portion of my profits. So my profit margin was pretty great compared to everybody else that was at the bigger labels. And when you net it all out, ironically, some of the people that had the major record label deals were not making very much at all behind the scenes. Whereas I was able to make a decent living that I would have made making a salary at any corporate job. So because I was willing to see the shift before most people around me did and move on it, instead of waiting for somebody to hand me permission to do so, that's how I was able to create a bigger profit margin. And that's exactly what's happening right now with AI. And the reason I'm telling you this, because this is kind of the new publishing. This is the new ownership model. The women who write their own systems instead of waiting to be handed somebody else's script are the ones who are going to keep the percentage. And the ones who wait to see how it plays out, they're going to keep waiting for a check that was never coming. But the door is absolutely open right now for women, for midlife women, just like you, for Christian women who have a story and a calling and are wondering, am I too late? And it's not too late. You're right on time. And it will not stay wide open forever like this. So this is just such an opportunity, the time we're living through right now. And I keep coming back to one verse this season, and it is Esther chapter 4, verse 14, where Mordecai says to Esther, "And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this." And girl, I believe that with my whole heart about you. Right now, in this exact AI moment in history, you were not placed in this generation with your story, your wisdom, your years of experience by accident. You are here for such a time as this. And I think about Habakkuk chapter 2 as well, where God tells the prophet, write down the revelation and make it plain so that a herald may run with it. That is what I feel like I am doing every time I sit down at my laptop with Claude open. I am writing down the vision. I am making it plain. And I am asking God to let it run. Let it run through me and through every single woman listening to this right now. This is not the season to shrink back. This is a season to write that vision and run. So let me make this practical, because I did not bring you into this conversation just to leave you sitting there with the urgency of it, okay? Here's what I want you to do. I'm going to give you 3 points here. Number 1, stop treating AI like a someday project. Please do this. I talk to so many women who tell me, oh, I'll learn AI once things calm down or once I get the time to do so. I'm not really worried about it right now. And things, like I always tell you, are not going to calm down. This is the new normal, and it's only accelerating. The women who are quietly building real financial freedom with AI right now are not the ones who felt like the most ready. They are the ones who just simply decided to start, even if it's 10 minutes out of your day today. Open Claude. Ask it one question about your business, your story, your gifts. That is the whole first step, not hard. Ask yourself, what is the one thing I have been putting off until I'm quote unquote ready that I could just start today instead? Try it. Number 2, stop confusing a tool with building a system. This is where so many women get stuck. And honestly, where a lot of good AI voices out there right now are also teaching the same shift, moving from typing one prompt at a time to actually building repeatable, faith-powered systems that work for you, even when you're not sitting at the computer. And that's the entire heart of what I built inside my coaching program with the faith-powered AI systems. It's not about becoming a tech person. I want you to get that out of your head. Because as you know, I am not the techie girl. I'm the creative girl who loves to talk. And it is about building something once in obedience and letting it serve your calling long after you close that laptop. That's the secret. So ask yourself, am I just dabbling, or am I actually building something that is going to outlast today? Number 3, refuse to let this become one more thing you feel guilty about. And I need you to hear me on this one. This is not about shaming you. I'm not trying to do that. This is not you're behind or you're failing. You should have started sooner, because I have felt all of those things. No, this is about a mom, a leader, a woman of faith standing at an open door and deciding with clear eyes and an open heart that I'm going to walk through this one. Because absolutely, the problem is really never your confidence. It's just the infrastructure. Because once you have the plan and you have the infrastructure it can be built starting today. So ask yourself, what would it look like to walk through this door without an ounce of guilt and just holy confidence that God's going to lead me through it? How cool, right? So here's what I want you to walk away with today. The AI wealth gap is really real and it's happening right now, not in some distant future. And the women who close that gap for themselves are not the ones with the most technical background. That's what's so surprising about all of this. They're just the ones who simply refuse to sit it out and are going to build their next couple of decades before they decide to retire by learning this new skill. Because as we know, AI is the great equalizer right now. We're all playing now from the same playing field. It got reset, whether we like it or not. But I look at this as the biggest opportunity right now for you as midlife women. Because think of all of the things we have learned through the decades, right? We had to learn how to use a computer. We had to learn how to use software. I mean, I remember actually going to computer class. That's what it was called, computer class or information systems in college. And, having to deal with DOS. I don't know if you remember that, right? And learning how to use a personal computer, not having a clue how that was, trying to figure out just how to send an email was like a big deal. Or when Google Ads came out, for those of you that are in the marketing space, and think how cheap it was back then and how expensive it is now. Because sometimes if you get in on the ground floor on this new movement that's happening, and you are the one to adopt these skills and to learn them, you can be the one who is teaching everybody else how to do this and changing other people's lives, not only your own, but everyone else around you. So I just look at this as the biggest opportunity, and it safeguards your entire life, the career that you're not too sure about right now because AI is replacing so many midlife women roles. But this will allow you to learn all of these new AI tools, all of the skills that you need to walk into the next couple of decades. And so it's just a no-brainer. As I like to say, you're going to build your AI brain. All right. But the women who are closing that gap for themselves are the ones who simply refuse to sit this one out because God never brought you this far through everything you've survived just to let a tool sideline you now. So your comeback is not behind you. I always believe it's absolutely in front of you. It may be sitting right there in the next 90 minutes, waiting for you to open your laptop and just say yes, to try it. You are not disqualified from your future because of AI. You were made for such a time as this. So take advantage of it and let's learn. It's time to learn as midlife women, and we can do this. This is easy compared to all the other things we have learned in our lifetime. So if this episode stirred something inside of you, and as always, I always hope it did, I want to tell you about something that I have built specifically for you. If you've been watching this AI wave from the shore and wondering if there is a room for a woman like you, the Midlife Comeback Club, my private community, was built for exactly this moment. And this is not a room full of 25-year-old tech bros, okay? This is a room full of midlife Christian women learning to use AI the same way that I just talked about, with wisdom, with faith, with taste, with judgment, and without an ounce of shame for starting later than somebody else did. Because I'm telling you, the women inside this community are learning things so much faster than I ever imagined they would. And inside the club, you get access to my new program built in this AI era just a couple months ago, called to Coach, Built to Break Free. It's my 6-phase, 22-module program that walks you through building a complete AI-powered coaching business on the back end, which you can build the foundation for in just 90 days with my program. But you don't just get me for the 90 days as your AI business coach. You get me for the entire year inside the community to ask me whatever you want. We have weekly group coaching calls. As your AI business coach, I will answer any questions you have. I'll make sure you don't get stuck so you can have the momentum to keep moving forward. And we're talking phase 1, where you find your niche if you don't even have a business yet, where you're going to go straight for your own comeback story, all the way through to phase 3, where we're literally building your AI systems together so you are never starting from a blank page again. So you will never be the woman left to figure it out alone in some Facebook group at midnight. My faith-powered AI systems are practical. They're step-by-step training on how to build with AI as a tool of obedience, not just some source of overwhelm. We don't need more overwhelm in our lives, right? And you're going to be surrounded by this community of women who really get it, who are also standing at this open door and saying yes, refusing. They're refusing to be left behind. They're doing the scary and beautiful work of reinvention right alongside of you. I've seen so many women, they've become such fast friends inside the community because we're all moving toward the same goal, which is full life freedom, financial freedom, building a legacy for our children and our families. So if you're ready, click the link in the show notes to learn more about it. The wait list is open. We just closed the doors to Call to Coach Built to Break Free a couple weeks ago, but I will be opening doors again soon. So you can get on the wait list and be in on the next round and give yourself permission just to walk through this door fully and faithfully with a system that actually works for you, because you don't have to do this alone. We are here for you. And if part of what stirred in you today was less about AI maybe and more about the season behind you, the rebuilding, the reinvention, or the starting over, go ahead and take my free calling quiz. It's linked in the show notes. And if you're simply wondering what God-given gifts you have that you're sitting on that AI could actually help you finally build into something real, like a real coaching business, I want you to go ahead and take that free quiz. It'll take you about 3 minutes. So I want to thank you so much for being here with me today. If you know a woman who's been quietly watching this AI conversation from the sidelines, wondering if it's too late for her, just send her this episode because she needs to hear that the door is absolutely still open. The wealth gap does not close by accident. It closes because women like you are deciding on an ordinary Tuesday or Thursday that you might be listening to this to stop waiting for permission, please, and start building for such a time as this. And that time is absolutely now. So until next time, I want you to keep putting God first, your family second. And now you know the faith-powered AI systems are here. So I will catch you back here for the next episode. Thank you so much for listening. Hey girl, I hope today's episode gave you a little faith, a little fire, and maybe even a next step you didn't have when you pressed play. So if it did, would you take 30 seconds and share it with one woman in your life who needs to hear this right now? And if this podcast has you speaking to your heart, I would absolutely love it if you leave me a quick review over on Apple Podcasts. It helps this show reach more midlife women just like you who are ready to start building the life God actually designed them for. So until next time, keep choosing faith over fear, and don't you dare give up on your next chapter. I'll see you back here really soon.